The man, the myth, the legend here, folks. Bring a Rain Boxing Talk coming at you with another update. Updated thoughts on the Pacman and Spence fight. Now, the video today is going to be a little bit different. I want to try to look at this fight objectively and give my honest opinion on it. And, I made my past few videos on reasons why I believe Manny Pacquiao will win the fight. However, there are some people who have given me feedback and seem to be misled that I just think Errol Spence has no path to victory, that there's no way that he can win the fight, and that's just flat out wrong. Now, some people were upset about that and crying in the comments section, and don't worry, I think there's a reason why Errol Spence is favored in the fight. He has a lot of physical advantages and other problems that he could pose to Manny Pacquiao. And here I'm going to list 5 reasons, or the 5 biggest challenges, let's say, Manny Pacquiao will face against Errol Spence come August in the ring. Now, you guys know that I'm a boxing expert. I'm not just going to give the usual cookie cutter answer that you'll see from your average casual fan of, oh, Spence is going to win because he's young and powerful and Pacquiao is old and frail. No, we're going to dive a little bit deeper than that, okay? So reason number 1, okay, the first challenge is the sheer volume of Errol Spence. Now, if you guys watch Errol Spence's fights, you'll notice a pattern there. And that's the frenetic pace and the seemingly endless gas tank that the man has. It's quite frankly legendary. I don't know if there's any fighter in boxing that can fight at that high octane of a pace than Spence can. And back in Pacman's heyday, he used to be able to reach back and get you 1,000 punches in a fight if he had to. He can't do that anymore. And Errol Spence is a guy who, quite frankly, can go back and get you 1,000 if he has to. And if it comes down to a 12-round fight, that could be trouble for Manny Pacquiao because Spence can outwork him. The man's work rate is incredible. And at this point, he's probably going to have a higher volume of punches than Manny. So Manny's going to have to do a good job and be elusive and make him miss more often than not. Second reason, the sheer body size, weight of Errol Spence could play a big factor if Manny Pacquiao's legs are sapped and he can't really move as well. Now, I'm just going to say the weight advantage. It could be near 20 pounds. And I'm predicting that Errol Spence will be the heaviest Manny Pacquiao opponent since Antonio Margarito. And listen, folks, there actually might be an outside chance that the man is heavier than Antonio Margarito. To put into context here, guys, Errol Spence was debating whether or not he wanted to move up and fight Canelo Alvarez at middleweight. The man has a big frame, and trust me, he's got maybe 1 or 2 fights left at welterweight. He already has his eyes on the super welterweight division of 154 pounds. I think he told Al Haymon straight up, get me Manny Pacquiao or Terrence Crawford, or I'm moving to 154. This is a guy who's just already on his way out from 147 and moving up to 54. He's going to have nearly a 20-pound weight advantage on Manny Pacquiao, which is going to be incredibly tough, especially if the fight gets into the later rounds and Spence can collapse the pocket and put his weight on Pacquiao and try to wear him out that way. That could be really dangerous for the Pacman. The third thing, and this kind of blends into my last point of the whole weight advantage thing, sapping Manny's energy. If Manny's energy and stamina starts to weaken, he might have a hard time slipping what is Spence's biggest weapon, and that's the jab. We all saw it on display in that Mikey Garcia fight. He was really able to control that fight with his jab. I mean, the man threw like 500 jabs in that fight. And it's a pretty solid jab. It's not like as impactful and piston like how Gennady Golovkin's jab is. It's not as thudding and powerful, but that thing snaps out there. It's quick, and it could stop any fighter right in his tracks. And Manny Pacquiao has got to find a way to counter that jab and slip that jab and be more elusive, and he can't afford to be controlled by that punch. Because what's going to happen is if Manny Pacquiao can't counter that shot, Spence can keep flicking it out there, and he can keep resetting the foot position of Manny Pacquiao. You know, we saw guys like Floyd Mayweather, for example. And for the record, like I've said before, I don't think Errol Spence can fight like Floyd Mayweather. However, I believe that Pacquiao had a lot of trouble in that fight because every time he got popped in the face with that jab, he's coming forward. He has to reset his offensive attack. Then he has to start back from square one. Manny needs to be able to counter that shot, and he can. He's got a good left hand counter shot that we've seen over the jab, which I think could be used in this fight. It's going to be tough. He's a southpaw too. That's going to provide a different angle. But Pacman, if he's going to win this fight, that jab cannot be a major factor. Because if it is, then it's not going to go well. Fourth biggest challenge. And this is perhaps what a lot of Manny Pacquiao fans, including myself, are wary of. And that's the hooks to the body punches from Spence. Besides his jab, one of his most lethal weapons is dropping down and ripping hard hooks to the body. And we all know Manny Pacquiao's getting a little bit older. Well, he's 42 years of age. And he's going to need his gas tank on a good level for this fight. And if Spence is able to find the body of Manny Pacquiao, which will be tough because Pacquiao is a more diminutive opponent, he usually does a pretty good job at hiding the body. But if Spence can find that, then that could be trouble for Pacman because his energy and legs are not going to be the same, and he's going to end up being a sitting duck if he can't move, and Spence is going to be able to use that big body and just hunt down Manny. He can't afford to get hit to the body. He's got to dart in and out of the pocket, not allow himself to get trapped on the ropes, and just let Spence wail on him with those body shots. If he can avoid the body shots, and if he can find a way to navigate past that jab, he's in good shape. Now, the last point I'm going to make here kind of blends into the four things I've just previously said here. Now, we all know the weapons that Errol Spence has that Manny needs to be careful of. The one thing he can't afford to do, especially in this fight against a huge opponent, is fall into this kind of firefight and warrior type mentality where he allows himself to get kind of trapped on the ropes and exchange bombs with his opponent willingly and let his opponent tee off on him and get some free shots. And I've seen this in so many Pacquiao fights where Pacquiao will take a little bit of the round off. He'll hang out near the ropes, put his back up against the ropes and have a high guard and let his opponent just kind of rip shots away. I saw this in the Antonio Margarito fight. I saw this in the Timothy Bradley fights. He did this a lot too. Even in the Keith Thurman fight, there were moments in the later rounds where Pacquiao's a little bit tired and he just allows himself to get teed off on. I don't know if that's overconfidence or if he just believes that guys can't hurt him, but he cannot allow himself to be lackadaisical and let Errol Spence get free shots in and just hold that high guard up and let Spence rip away to the body. No, he can't afford to get cocky and just let Errol have a field day. No free shots in this fight. He needs to be 24/7 all the way through, tapped into the fight mentally. There can be no mental breaks because I'm telling you, with the arsenal that Errol Spence has, it's going to be dangerous for Pacquiao if he allows him to just get free shots in. He cannot be careless with his defense. He's got to be 100% focused in this fight. Now, those are the 5 biggest challenges I believe Pacquiao will face in the fight. Obviously, we're still a little bit of ways away, and this may change, but this is kind of what I'm thinking of right now for Pacquiao. Tell me what you guys think. I'm still really rooting for the Pacman. I'm keeping a close eye on his training camp. He looks good. I suggest everyone to go on YouTube and search Team Pacquiao. And there's a YouTube channel here online where they post a lot of good training clips and updates for his training camp, and you get to see how he looks in training. And I'm keeping a close eye on it. I'm trying to monitor how he looks physically. And like I said, I'll update you guys on my thoughts if I think it's going good or bad for him. And if anything changes on my opinion on the fights, I will let you know. But anyway, that's it. Bring Everrain Boxing here, folks. Checking out.